The movie opens with a chilling sense of quiet unease. At first glance, Alice seems like any young woman, enjoying life with her friends. But behind her nervous smile lies a darker truth, a relationship that has slowly eroded her sense of freedom. What begins as a simple getaway with her closest companion soon reveals the chains of manipulation and control that Alice carries with her. As the days unfold, her carefully hidden fears surface, and the tension builds toward a breaking point that will test not only Alice's strength but also the unshakable bond of friendship. The movie opens with a young woman named Alice, nervously twisting a strand of her hair around her finger as she walks toward a dimly lit bar. Inside, her two closest friends, Tess and Sophie, are waiting for her with eager smiles. From the very first moment, Alice's body language feels tense, her face marked with a seriousness that doesn't quite match the cheerful atmosphere of a friendly night out. The three women settle in, ordering food and drinks as laughter and music hum in the background. It's clear from their banter that these gatherings don't happen often anymore, which makes the night feel special for Tess and Sophie. Yet, while they seem relaxed, Alice appears distracted, as if her mind is somewhere else entirely. As they talk, Tess and Sophie notice the waiter stealing glances at Alice. They exchange knowing looks and begin to tease her, nudging her about the attention she's getting. But Alice brushes it off quickly, avoiding their playful jokes. Her gaze keeps returning to her phone, where messages from her boyfriend, Simon, arrive one after another. Even in this safe space with her closest friends, Alice cannot pull herself away from him. Simon, we soon learn, is a successful and admired artist whose reputation has already made him a rising figure in the art world. Alice tells her friends about his upcoming gallery opening, proudly inviting them to attend. Tess and Sophie agree to come, happy to support her, but Sophie also proposes something of her own. Since her parents will be out of town, they can spend a week together at the family's lakeside cottage, celebrating Tess's birthday with a long overdue getaway. They beg Alice to join, but she hesitates, saying she'll try though she can't make any promises. Even as the night continues, Alice never fully relaxes. She laughs along at times, but her eyes often drift back to her phone. The constant buzzing of Simon's texts feels like an invisible chain tugging her away from the moment. When another message arrives, Alice suddenly excuses herself. Before leaving, she slips into the bathroom, takes a revealing photo of herself, and sends it to Simon, an action that feels less about desire and more about obligation. Driving home alone afterward, Alice's anxious habits return. She twists her hair, stares blankly out the windshield, and seems trapped in her thoughts. When she finally gets home, she empties her pockets and finds a slip of paper she didn't realize she had, a phone number scrawled on it, left behind by someone during the night. She stares at it for a moment, her expression unreadable, before the screen fades to black. The note Alice found in her pocket is presumably from the waiter at the bar, but she knows she can't risk Simon discovering it. Fearing his reaction, she quickly washes the paper and throws it away before heading into the shower. Even under the warm water, Alice can't shake the tension building inside her. Later, as she stands before the mirror, she imagines the waiter suddenly appearing behind her. For a moment it feels real, until she realizes it's Simon, who startles her with his presence. The two retreat to the bedroom, but their intimacy is clouded by Simon's controlling nature. His dominance hangs heavily in the room, and Alice's nervous demeanor makes it clear she's afraid of upsetting him. The next morning, Alice wakes before Simon, hurrying to fix her hair and apply makeup so she'll look perfect when he opens his eyes. Every detail seems like a performance for him. When they step out together, Simon stops at a bakery to grab something sweet. Alice reminds him that he was the one who insisted they cut back on sugar, but he brushes her off, saying this will be the last indulgence. Alice doesn't argue further. Instead, she stands by anxiously, twisting her hair again, her mind racing back to Sophie's invitation for a week away at the cottage. Desperate for an excuse Simon will accept, Alice devises a plan. When he comes out of the bakery, she tells him she has to leave for a week-long work trip to Minneapolis. She doesn't mention Tess or Sophie at all, just a fabricated trip that she hopes will give her some breathing room. Simon doesn't press too hard, and for now, the lie holds. That evening, the couple attends Simon's gallery opening. The room is filled with guests, but Simon's behavior overshadows the celebration. He clings tightly to Alice, treating her less like a partner and more like a possession. Sophie shows up at the event as well, and Alice quickly finds a moment to whisper her plan, that she'll see her tomorrow and go with her to the cottage. Simon, however, grows frustrated, complaining afterward that the night was a failure and that no one important showed up. Alice tries to reassure him, pointing out that plenty of people attended, but Simon remains sulking, consumed by his own insecurities. The next day, Alice manages to slip away with Sophie. They drive toward the cottage, but even in the car, Alice cannot relax. Her phone buzzes constantly with messages from Simon, and instead of enjoying the freedom of the trip, she remains tethered to his control. On the road trip to the cottage, Tess and Sophie laugh and sing along to music, enjoying the freedom of being away. But Alice sits quietly in the back seat, glued to her phone. Simon's messages arrive one after another, and when he isn't texting, it feels as though he's still watching her, haunting her thoughts. Tess and Sophie exchange worried glances, asking if she's alright, but Alice simply insists they keep driving. During a quick stop at a convenience store, Alice notices a flyer pinned to the window, a missing girl named Andrea. Something about it unsettles her, lingering in her mind even after they get back on the road. Soon they arrive at the cottage, a peaceful retreat by the lake, surrounded by nature, the perfect place for a week of escape. But Alice can't relax. Even in this beautiful setting, her mind remains chained to Simon's constant presence. That night, long after everyone else is asleep, her phone buzzes again. It's Simon, demanding her attention. To appease him, Alice sends intimate photos, a ritual that feels less like affection and more like survival. By morning, she slips into her usual routine, going for a jog with her headphones in, listening to a podcast as the forest opens up around her. Eventually, she slows by the lake, where the water glimmers softly in the sunlight. It should feel calming, but her expression remains clouded. No matter how serene her surroundings, Alice cannot find peace inside herself. Two local policemen approach, asking if she has seen the missing girl from the flyer, Andrea. Alice shakes her head, saying she hasn't. They leave, but the encounter only deepens the unease she carries. Back at the cottage, the friends try to enjoy themselves. They play games, but Alice barely participates. Even during a round of Scrabble, Simon's messages flood her phone, pulling her attention away. His words are sharp, laced with control and subtle cruelty, a psychological grip that leaves Alice visibly drained. He insults her, manipulates her, and makes her feel as if he knows her every thought. At times, it's so suffocating that Alice begins to wonder if he can somehow read her mind. Her behavior grows stranger as the days pass. Instead of relaxing, she becomes irritable, snapping at Tess and Sophie over trivial things. One evening, while sharing sweets, Alice lashes out at them with uncharacteristic rudeness. The tension in the air is undeniable. Simon may not be there physically, but his control has followed Alice into the very heart of her safe place. As the days go on, Alice's behavior becomes increasingly unsettling. She eats in strange, mechanical ways, pulling odd expressions that worry Tess and Sophie. When they gently question whether Simon might not be the right man for her, Alice immediately defends him, shutting them down before they can press further. At times, her behavior crosses into the disturbing. In one unsettling moment, Alice blurts out details about her own body, leaving her friends shocked and frightened by just how much she seems to be unraveling. The tension grows heavier when Alice joins a local search party for the missing girl, Andrea. She doesn't find anything, but the experience rattles her further. Later, without warning, she begins hacking at wood with an axe, her aggression startling Sophie and Tess. They whisper between themselves, realizing something deeper is wrong, something Alice still refuses to admit. Meanwhile, Simon discovers where she is after spotting Tess's posts on Instagram. Furious that Alice lied, he calls her immediately, demanding she leave and return home. When Alice tells her friends she must cut the trip short, she justifies it by saying Simon loves her too much to be apart from her. To Tess and Sophie, it sounds less like love and more like control, but Alice cannot see it yet. She begins packing, but Tess and Sophie quietly intervene. While Sophie heads to the store as a distraction, Tess hides Alice's phone and wallet, hoping to buy her friend some time away from Simon's reach. Tess then convinces Alice to try paddleboarding on the lake. They laugh for a moment, but when Tess rocks the board playfully, Alice falls into the water. In her panic, she realizes she's lost one of her earrings, a gift from Simon. She dives frantically, desperate to recover it, but it's gone. Back on shore, Tess reassures her, gently asking about her well-being. Something in Alice begins to shift. The next morning, without her phone, Alice decides to join the search party for Andrea again. This time, away from Simon's constant messages, she feels lighter, freer. She shares laughs with her friends, begins to open up, and for the first time in a long while, starts to feel like herself again. While searching near an abandoned cottage, Alice finds a tube of lipstick and believes it may belong to Andrea. The discovery unsettles her, but the time away from Simon strengthens her bond with Tess and Sophie. She finally admits the truth. Simon has never hurt her physically, but the emotional scars he's left run deep. His control, his words, his constant surveillance have all chipped away at her sense of self. For the first time, Alice stops answering his messages altogether. And with each moment of silence, Simon's anger on the other end only grows stronger. That night, during a tense dinner, Simon suddenly shows up at the cottage carrying grocery bags. He pulls out a newspaper and announces that the body of the missing girl, Andrea, has been found. Alice, quietly holding her lipstick, tries to voice her own thoughts, but as always, Simon cuts her off in a belittling, condescending way. His controlling behavior becomes more obvious than ever. The following morning, Alice packs her things and prepares to leave. This surprises her friends, who didn't expect her to give in so easily. On the way to the main road, Simon intercepts them. He stops his car, furious, and in a fit of anger, smashes the back windshield with an iron bar. Frightened but determined, Alice steps out of the car. Looking at Sophie, she admits she doesn't want to go back with Simon, that she's terrified of returning to him. Simon orders her back into his car, but Tess bravely steps between them, refusing to let him take Alice. Realizing he's lost control, Simon angrily throws Alice's belongings onto the ground before storming off in his car. In the final scene, Alice finally reclaims her freedom. She rides a paddleboard onto the open lake, then dives into the water, symbolizing her release from Simon's grip and the rediscovery of her own strength. In the end, Alice, Darling isn't just a story about one woman, it's a haunting reminder of how control can disguise itself as love, and how silence can become its sharpest weapon. But it's also about resilience, courage, and the power of those who refuse to let someone they love be lost to the shadows. With every subtle glance, every unspoken word, the film leaves us questioning the fine line between devotion and destruction. And ultimately, it shows us that reclaiming your voice may be the bravest act of all.
Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching.